Well, I think this might go down as some sort of weird record for least amount of debate and quickest general consensus with regards to a game to do. So
True.
that's pretty cool.
Now,
Um,
to be fair, we had talked about Hearts of Wulin in the past,
oh yeah, it's come up. It's come
at
up.
the beginning of the year,
Yeah,
before we started doing Starforge.
and I think
This
we've.
one was
I
fun.
think it actually came up twice before, not just the one time, but I think it came up the time prior to that, and both times it's been at least partly kicked down the road.
I think part of it was we didn't have the full book yet.
Yeah,
Right.
wait till it's all the way done, all that kind of good stuff. But it is certainly all but done. It certainly in the core, and most of the other stuff has been play tested within an inch of its life. The convenient thing about having the guy who wrote it be one of the primary game organizers for the Gauntlet means that a lot of play tests, and also beloved by same, so means that a lot of playtesting and just playing in general of the game tends to happen. All to the good, in that it benefits us. So hooray.
Yeah.
Anyway. Let me just skip back.
Like I will mention again, I like the Veil. I'm a fan of the Veil and fan of Cyberpunk. Um, but like the Veil is also communally built, and it sounded like you were talking about bringing like just a particular setting. But B, that setting really lost me right around Cannibal Fast Food. I'll be really blunt about that. Like it was on a very downhill slope before that, but that's the part where I just said I'm getting off this train.
Oh, I want to do the Veil. I somebody recently reminded me of Underground and the sort of veterans of foreign wars abandonment theme that I had maybe not fully processed when I originally encountered the game, kind of deal. So yeah, I mean it's certainly bleak. Veil is interesting because oh, his name's gonna go right out of my head. Starts with an F. Anyway, the writer for that game is working on another iteration of it. I guess sort of an add-on for the original one, because he keeps coming up with sort of different not additions is the wrong word, but different sort of skins of the game itself. And the one that he's
There,
working on,
there are effectively sequels that kind of branch out, like
yeah,
Inheritance, and the
yeah.
other one is
The one he's working on right now really intrigues me because it focuses on identity and the discovering of same. So there's a bit of this is starting out like this is who I am right now, and there's a definite leaning toward the exposure and discovery of your true self, which may or may not have been expunged or needs to be rediscovered or whatever. And it's still based on this sort of ostensibly cyberpunk sort of you've been hired to go do this mission, thing that's constantly sort of being pulled off to the side because of this other, why am I getting flashbacks about this children's book that's in this person's apartment that I've been told to go into or whatever.
yeah.
Um,
Somebody watched Blade Runner 2049 and decided they were going
well, yeah, Fraser is a bit of a scholar with regards to Fraser. That was is a bit of a scholar with regards to the
to.
sort of the cyberpunk genre and has a lot of thoughts about it, stuff he wants to explore and things like that. That I really kind of like. And Dave and Margie certainly, probably all of you, certainly know that I like my amnesia stories. So for me, that scratches a big old itch. So I'm excited about it at some point in time to check it out. But that's neither here nor there. It's not what we're doing right now. We're going to worry about Hearts of Wulin. So, there was, I mean, like I said, decided quickly and a lot of chatter. The only thing I'm going to request is we're going along through this and we're bringing up stuff and saying, hey, I want to reference this particular thing or this is what I'm thinking of. Please point us in the direction of page numbers, or as maybe say more fairly, point me in the direction of page numbers, so that I can find the thing that you're referring to. And for some reason, that's really weird. I cannot. My actual core book rules are not in the actual folder, and I need to figure out where the heck they are. So if you give me just a minute here, they show up in my recent links of recently opened documents, but then when I actually look in the folder where they should be, they ain't there. So I need to get that book open. Oh, that's weird. It's so weird.
And for once, I didn't have any problem opening up the document.
Yeah, I'm in a bit of a
And even
weird
on my office computer, which is normally a little finicky about what it lets me
everything.
open.
Yeah, sure.
I won't be able to do it on my office computer. We
Oh.
cannot link to Google Files, Drive, things.
Oh, we've actually gotten rid of Office ostensibly to solely work through Google. So that's the least of my problems. This is so weird.
You need Dave to ping the link to you or something?
No, I have it when I look at
You go just since you can open up to recent, then do a move to put it where it should go.
no, I can see it on I can see it. It is where it's supposed to be. If I look at Drive like on the internet, when I actually go to why is it doing this? I have it up on I can see it on I can see it on the internet. It's not on my local drive, which is just it says it's fully updated. It's just not, which isn't, helpful in any way, shape, or form. Like the file names don't even kind of match. There's a whole slew of files that just aren't here.
You're not logged in as somebody else, are you?
No. I mean, that's although fantastic guess.
I mean, difference between your account versus your work account versus.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just
that was a good one.
No, yeah, absolutely. And the kind of thing that comes up with a fair regularity. Just give me a minute. I'm gonna just pull it down manually and put it in the same folder it's supposed to be in. I don't know. And the best part is it's telling me it's like, no, you're synced up. You're completely synchronized. No, I'm not. I'm not.
Just download it again.
Well, I'm downloading it manually, like in a zip file, and then just putting it in the folder. Oh, and now it wants to, really? At least one of the files was there. That is so messed up. All right.
Are the files hidden?
No, only one of them was there. The rest of them weren't. It doesn't matter. I've got it. Anyway, I think it makes a fair amount of sense to just direct things to this, thinking out loud, by just kind of going through to a certain extent, not completely, but to a certain extent, in the order that stuff is basically presented.
So there is a character creation outline.
Yeah.
A level down that kind of summarizes a lot of this stuff. I mean, it's got an order which isn't necessarily. Yeah.
Well, I'm looking at the one right after NPCs, but
what page number would that be?
I'm looking at I was saying I'm going by order to finish the sentence. Going in the order of the character keeper that they came up with, because I think that probably covers some of the stuff some relevant stuff in somewhat logical order. Although I'm going to, it's neither here nor there. All right. So, is everybody able to get to that keeper document?
I have it up.
Okay.
Oh, that character. Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to rely on Dave because I am afraid I have COL cat on lap.
Oh, I see. That's fair.
I did a thing.
What are you looking for?
I was looking for your tablet, which I could. It's not over there.
You did a thing, Mike. What'd you do?
It is.
I posted it into the Discord.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Oh, it's easy to find.
Indeed. I should get the Discord up where I can see if there's things. Lovely. Thank you. Okay, so the first sheet's not particular. The tab. Dave, should I wait? If you're running about, I'm gonna wait. I gotta hand it to whoever managed to have a Nyan cat as their little generic anonymous animal. Good job, you.
It comes up regularly.
I'd never seen it before.
Yeah.
So I consider myself blessed by having.
Oh no, it's always fun.
The internet Nyan cat, right?
I don't know. Yeah, they have quite a few weird ones that show up occasionally, and Nyan cat is one of them.
Love it.
Yeah, one of my favorites.
Axolotl too. These are all good animals. I like it. Anteater.
Exactly.
Chinchilla. These are all lovely.
The pure joy of the only joy of being in a large Google Doc filled with other people is being able to look at the
only thing?
anonymous.
I mean, you may be right.
So,
have you ever tried to edit a Google Doc at the same time as a lot of other people?
Yes.
So
yes, sir.
You'll get very weird ones like anonymous chupacabra.
Yes.
I like it.
Yeah,
So-
and it looks like Margie has one, anonymous atoxel.
Yep.
Nice.
Axolotl.
Axolotl.
So my favorite, because we anonymize in HR, And so you have names of people. And my favorite is still was the time I was beautiful tinfoil.
Very nice.
It's still my favorite.
I mean, it's redundant, but
Hmm.
in any case, yeah, that's good. I like that. Yeah,
When you have 500,000 people, you need to
James, a
actually
number of
learn that.
our facilitators guides for learners on some of the 2 week long courses are upwards of 250 pages with images on every page. And we don't run off the Google. You want slow? We don't run off the Google servers. Our company decided that we would run our own servers to be more secure. So we run a completely insufficient to the task server that hosts it. So I actually can't, like the convert to PDF option doesn't work. When you say just save it as a PDF, it doesn't work unless I share it with my personal account on Google. And then when I'm at home, open it up on a real Google server and save as PDF. My only option when I'm at work is to print it to PDF, which breaks a number of things, in 50-page chunks, because that only takes a half an hour per 50-page chunk and usually does not simply fail without errors. And then let's take 10 people who are going to review it and get them all in at the same time. Sometimes hitting the page down key gives you time to go get a soda. It's swell. Anyway, not that I'm bitter. All right, so some of the stuff here, not quite in the same order. I moved some of the tabs around, but lines and veils, talking about characters, and then the sort of the character creation process is laid out on one of the tabs that I moved closer to characters because it seems like it makes sense. List of all the playbooks and relevant stuff, although now I'm wondering where they all ended up. Oh, we'll pull them down a little bit closer to the rest of the stuff.
Well, the good thing is, if you don't need them later,
you can
hide them.
Just
hide them.
Which is lovely. I grab a few of the playbooks because I don't know what we're going to need and that kind of thing. I did like I liked the sort of breakdown of some of the various stuff in here. It's quite well done, almost as if the person who done it really knew the game. Pretty useful. All right, so various playbooks, and everything's kind of broken up by whether it's the baseline game, the courtly game, or the fantastic game.
Or the regular game.
Or the baseline. Baseline game, the courtly game, or the fantastic game, which is nice. The fantastic one simply being, I mean, to probably westernize any of this type of Hearts of Wulin type genre, the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, the Legend of the Condor Heroes or whatever type stuff is going to seem a little supernatural, but it wasn't seen that way at the time because you could get it by the censors that way, and it wasn't until much later that they brought ghosts and that kind of spooky stuff back, proper magic, real sorcerers, all that kind of stuff. So have all that stuff. I poked a little bit at Lions and Veils in general, and also some of the other stuff that they mentioned. I put a few things.
I couldn't remember the difference between a line and a veil as I was glancing at that tab.
Really,
line is no, we don't cross that. Veil is it is mentioned. It is mentioned, but we don't delve into it.
So
nudity is observed but not seen.
Certainly not in this genre. Lines are sort of like preemptive X cards. If you put a line on something, let's say slavery, there just isn't slavery. It's not part of the setting. It's not there. It doesn't exist. It's not that we conveniently don't mention it. It is not part of the game.
Got it.
Put a the default mask setting, unless there's a doomed in the playbook. Unless there's a doomed playbook in play, there's a line on death. People don't die. Veils, the best they do a wonderful example of this in the book. The way Buffy used to handle the torrid romance scenes and stuff like that, because you would get fade, the camera would slowly slide to the right and fade to black as things were getting hot and heavy, and it's really, I can be pretty consistent about the cameras, or it would slowly fade in and slide in from the left as they're making out at the end of some sort of session, or waking up with conveniently placed bed sheets or something like that, that kind of thing. So that's a veil. The idea being, and the example that I gave for like on harm to animals is like without not getting into explicit details, but still saying that the thing is happening would be sort of one way to approach a veil. This person's being awful to their pet. Now if you choose to do so that you can intercede because of what's happening, but we don't have to get into specifically what's happening and what we're seeing because we're not seeing it on screen. We're hearing. It's that when Reboot was on the air once upon a time. It was on American television. You saw the female lead slap some sense into the main character, but on Canadian television, you saw her pull back. You saw a different character wince and kind of like go, "Ow! I bet that looked like with that. Ooh, I bet that hurt." And then cut back to the main male character holding his face and going, "What?" So stuff like that. So and then the game itself talked about the cats, sort of like talking about the cats acronym. I think it's on page 15 or so.
16.
15, 16.
You noted it.
It's actually mentioned on the page.
Oh, look at that. I did it. Look at me.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, I mean, assuming that we're basically going to play a Hearts of Wulin game, that he basically spells out like what that would look like in the CATS acronym on page 16, and I don't disagree with any of his assessments. So yes, should anybody be curious, I'm pretty much on board with that. Mike had mentioned, I think, when he was talking about the playbooks he was interested in, that at least one of the possible spins on that playbook that he was looking at was from this sort of the Fantastic set.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be.
Yeah, right. Personally, I like the idea of the potential for the supernatural, which isn't to say you can't have supernatural. It's kind of a little bit about how it's reacted to in the story. Like, I would call...
It's prevalence.
Yeah, it's prevalence. The standard thing, I think... To use this would be more for Dave than anything else, or consortium in general, I suppose. Usagi Yojimbo definitely takes a standard Hearts of Wulin stance on the supernatural, so that if you see a demon or a ghost or anything like that, it doesn't matter who you are, you probably freak out because it's really crazy.
It's a big deal.
It's a big panicky, wide-eyed, oh my god, what do I do? Deal, and it's more so for ghosts than say
But it's still believed. That's the key is it's
well,
not
even
disbelieved.
It's not even that it's believed or disbelieved. It's sort of the level of response. So that wouldn't be a fantastic type of reaction. That would be sort of a standard reaction. It's like, oh my god, but they don't bother doubting their senses. And Usagi at least tends to approach things. He tends to be a little bit more like wide-eyed, shocked response to a ghost than he is to a demon with a sword, because a demon with a sword he can fight.
Yeah.
And a
Holy
ghost.
crap! It's a demon with a sword. That's horrible. I will wield my sword against him.
Get back, demon. He knows what to do with that. With the supernatural, you're more likely to if you're investigating a mystery, you're going to figure out maybe it was this faction or that faction, this other faction. You're in a fantastic setting. Somebody's a lot more likely to go, maybe a ghost killed him, and have nobody really raise an eyebrow at that, whereas nobody's likely to mention that kind of a thing.
Or it's assumed that a goodly percentage of the people in court are actually very supernatural creatures in disguise.
Right. Right.
So James, how does that fly with the Imperial Court records?
What? No.
I would like to at least leave the door open on the option to get ghosts and nature spirits and that kind of thing once we get. But again, more I don't know if I'm looking to have I don't know. It kind of depends on what you guys are down for, because I'm down with secret fox spirits in the middle of the court kind of deal. That's cool.
I think for my own preference, but it's not an absolute, is I'm okay with there's a secret fox spirit in the court, not with the idea that, oh yeah, of course there are fox spirits in the court, and there's probably one for 2 or 3 of the factions.
Right. You're not likely to see somebody coming in from the fairy contingent up in the mountains who's, I say fairy, but the spirit, the nature spirit contingent is not sending an envoy down to the emperor's court that's all like animal-headed humanoid.
So I I feel that we may be getting caught up in fairy spirit in the court.
Sure.
I just want to add another side of the fantastical is kind of the, at least that I've seen more of, is like cultivating to, immortality and chi channeling
That's
and
that isn't even
uh,
supernatural in this setting.
well, but and then like spirit beasts or demonic beasts there that cultivators go out and fight and use to help cultivation. It's not necessarily
Yeah.
sentient.
Yeah, I was gonna say some of my stuff is, some of the stuff I'm used to is, oh yeah, cultivate your spirit, you'll become stronger. Such as, now you know how to do martial arts better, or cultivate your spirit. You now know the 114 transformations and can survive the gods trying to assassinate you by turning into a rock when they send fire winds down to kill you.
That is an interesting point. Yeah, you're right. And it certainly these stories run the gamut from one end to the other, depending on what genre we're talking about. That's certainly on the end of like Journey to the West, or any of the
That
monkey
is Journey
stories.
to the West.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah. Or any of the monkey stories, or any of that sort of stuff. So I'm really fine. I'm really fine anywhere along that thing. I don't want to, it depend. How on the one hand we've got sort of the supernatural with the emphasis on super, versus I don't know, what level are we in D&D?
I was gonna say,
Is it 5 or 20?
why don't we go around and see what level of craziness everybody's good with?
Yeah, that's the question.
Well, since you brought it up first, Mike, what was your idea?
Oh, I'm fine with whatever, but I am not going to push us one way or the other.
Yeah, but you gotta have an opinion.
You still have an opinion.
You gotta have an opinion.
Oh yeah. Oh no. I definitely am like I'm definitely fine with somewhere in the middle, as my preference. Like, I enjoy like the whole
That's not
I do not want to cut a tree to send all of us spiraling into a castle, like to go launch us over a wall. But I would definitely be fine with like, oh no, we have this exorcist priest who is traveling with us. Occasionally there are ghosts and they exorcise them. Huzzah!
Yeah, I like.
That's my preference.
I mean, I'm trying to think of anime examples or something like that, or just movie examples or anything like that. I mean, on the one end, you've got, on the very far end of one end, you've got Samurai Champloo, which doesn't
We're
really.
not familiar with.
It's super fun. I recommend it. It's only
Yeah,
like one season.
I've
It's a lot of
seen
fun.
some.
It's the fight choreography is really, really quite good.
Yeah.
If the, and honestly, I think this is actually what happened. If the person who did Cowboy Bebop decided to do a one season samurai show,
That is the guy.
you get Samurai Champloo. It's worth it. It's a lot of fun, and yeah, the animation's certainly similar. The fight scenes are great.
It's the same guy.
But yeah, I know that's what I mean. It's I'm giving it to. I know that I'm saying it to Margie because she's seen the one and not the other.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm saying that in complete lack of supernatural, to the point where it doesn't even have like the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon type of stuff, where you've got Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, where there really isn't any supernatural stuff. You've got like where you're occasionally, very rarely, running into stuff that you think is supernatural, and you really can't corroborate the next day. It's just a story that nobody else is maybe going to believe. To
Scooby-Doo level?
yeah, or Usagi Yojimbo. It's like I fought a ghost on the road, but when you get back, there's nothing there except for an old, broken, rusted sword that's obviously 10 years abandoned.
And everyone laughs.
And everyone laughs at the samurai.
Sake.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously, you were drinking way too much sake. Yeah.
To the, you've been sent out to, deal with these bandits and discover, in fact, there's an abandoned keep full of ghosts and demons. And you fight them and come back and tell people that, and they basically believe you, and they're not, and are quite relieved that it's been wiped out. To, the party is basically comprised of Monkey and One Punch Man on the other end of things.
I want to offer what I hope is a useful analogy that made me feel simpler. I'm sure you all acknowledge that there is such a thing as the lottery. I'm sure you all imagine that there are people who have won the lottery. How many lottery winners do you all know?
That's an excellent analogy.
I won $364. Does that count?
Well,
Well, if you won $10 million.
Hey, it was in Indiana,
so what you're
30
saying
years
is,
ago, so that
so,
was a lot.
so what you're saying is you've had a lottery experience, but not a significant lottery experience.
Right.
So,
That's sort of more of the I thought I saw a ghost in the woods.
A shadowy figure there, and it snarled at me in the night. Yeah.
where I'm going with this is that the campaign where we've all won $10 million in the lottery is very different than the campaign where we've won $250 and occasionally hear about the $1 million.
Yeah.
So where do you want to be on that scale?
So for myself, I have a lot more experience with the Japanese mythology than the Chinese. But I think a little bit of the kind of more spirit magic kind of stuff would certainly be welcome in the setting, at least from my point of view.
I like the idea for myself of the fact that if you met somebody and they said that their profession was essentially a traveling exorcist, that you don't automatically assume they're full of shit, or maybe you've had some experience in the past working with an exorcist because they have a legitimate, but there isn't like an exorcist in every town. There's no need for an exorcist in every town. Don't be ridiculous. Does that track for anybody? Because that puts things on the table for something like Mike doing the Beast Hunter. Is that what it is? Monster Hunter?
It was Monster Hunter, but yeah.
I'm not saying you have to be married to it. I'm just saying I feel like that puts it on the page. It's really on the same kind of level. Somebody who's sort of making a like their purpose for the immortal evolution type of thing is, or one of the ways that means is fighting evil beasts. And okay, I mean everyone needs a calling.
And the other thing about the earlier analogy is you can always win the lottery. If the campaign suddenly erupts into supernatural forces, like that's the thing that can happen.
Yep. Or, you hit these occasional months where everybody is working the Powerball, and then that time that zeitgeist passes and everything kind of goes back to normal, and the lottery sort of falls far into the back of everybody's mind. It's like, oh yeah, but that was last year. Nobody's really thinking about that now.
Yeah, there used to be all kinds of monsters, and then Mike happened, and
Yeah.
now they're
Yeah. Everyone's so to continue the analogy, you hear about people winning $1 million. You've won a couple hundred here and there, but my great great grandfather, he won $5 million in the lottery, which is why we still own a feudal estate because of all of the winning that he did. But that hardly happens these days. It just hasn't happened in a while.
So what I want to suggest is we start at a lower overall power level.
Yeah, I like that.
If Mike has a role that only comes from Fantastic, I'm pretty okay with including that, with the understanding that like it may not get as much play, or we may need to transition to the more fantastic elements. But I kind of feel like starting low helps people orient to this game a little bit.
Yeah, I dig it.
Oh yeah.
I dig it. Cool. And the lottery is a lot more likely to come up in regular conversation if you have one person who's constantly playing it in hopes of hitting.
This is true. I'm dropping a podcast I listen to very frequently for later, just in case anybody is interested in more stuff in this particular area.
So for me, when Dave was, giving the description of the game, it immediately kind of invoked in me the Tale of Genji, which is like the actual first novel that one of the things I studied in school for no apparent reason. But anyways, that's sort of where I come from when I'm thinking about sort of the courtly and what it means, kind of a thing. So I guess I'm a little different, not coming from anime as much.
Well, I'm not. Yeah, anime is actually probably a bad.
Yeah, I'm specifically not drawing from anime personally.
No. Although, speaking of, since I'm seeing some links over to Monkey, if I could make a fun suggestion for a modern day spin on that, if I can find just to share, because I think it's a delightful series. Oh, here we go. There's a book is out for the first book is called The Epic Crush Jeannie Lowe.
You're breaking
up really bad.
Really? That's crazy.
Yeah.
I moved one room over.
You're not anymore.
That's really weird. I bent down behind Kaylee's bookshelf, and I think I must have killed the
Obviously,
Bluetooth
that's
signal.
it.
Yeah. The book is called The Epic Crush of Jeannie Lowe. It is set in the modern day. Jeannie Lowe is a high school student, and basically the Monkey King shows up as another high school student looking for her because she is somehow, inexplicably, the sentient human reincarnation of his staff.
Nice.
Which he can't even figure out because how the hell did inanimate object, no matter how powerful, manage to be reincarnated so far up the chain to be human? She, of course,
Well,
thinks he's complete
clearly
bullshit, and it's a delightful book. It's funny. It is legit funny.
it makes perfect sense. I mean, being stuck around the Monkey King for how long? You must rack up some serious karma.
Karma.
Yep. But the epic crush of Jeannie Lowe is indicative both of the fact that there's, that lovely, you got that YA teen romance stuff going on, and also because she punches like a fucking freight train. So it's a fun game, and the second book is out as well. A lot of fun.
The story of the Monkey King staff, I don't know, it feels like a stretch.
God. All right. Okay, so I'm seeing veils. I'm not seeing any lines. Totally fine with seeing lines if people want to drop that in there. I'm not personally super interested in homophobia. I'm more interested in the fact that this book certainly presents all gender identities as valid and orientations as valid, and I think that's a really interesting, if not, let's just say, pseudo-historically accurate to certainly not the source material that we're bouncing this off of, but I think it's more fun. But if you got stuff you want to X, by all means exit. I got no beef. I found out my...
I find it really interesting that dental horror is its own category.
This list is specifically built out of stuff that out of many playtests was
get it.
presented
I
on the players.
I find it interesting.
My wife would absolutely hit that thing like a gong. That is not her jam. She does not like talking about teeth, let alone bad things happening to teeth. So that would absolutely be a
there you go.
That would go on her list straight up.
It's Pride Month. Homophobes be gone.
Yeah, there you go. I'm 100% behind that. I found out quite obliquely that one of my players in my mask game, Kaylee's mask game, one of her personal glitches that she just does, and she describes it that way. Otherwise, I wouldn't. Is the thing that happened where everybody's personality swapped into other bodies. She just cannot stand that.
I did not care for it either. So.
Well, not even from a play point of view. That story element squicks her, and she does not know why.
I did not care for it either.
Aw, I'm sorry. You should have said something.
That's good to know.
I brought it up at the time, so.
Oh, I must have missed it. I'm sorry.
No, we got past it.
That's good. And also, you had one of the the fact that you were able to use the speedster abilities that James couldn't is still one of my favorite bits about that whole story arc. That was just funny to me, but in any case. Anyway, all right. So by all means, loop back to this, and whenever I will certainly try to keep it. I mean, none of this stuff is. I'm in a huge hurry to go. Well, wait. I was gonna build this entire thing about out of sexual assault.
That's to you.
Isn't it? So by all means, direct me back.
There's also a difference between this is what the story is going to be about versus this is something that could happen as an element of the story.
Sure.
Or in passing, or as someone's backstory or something.
Yeah, certain things, certainly, you got to leave enough stuff on the table for the bad guys to do bad things. But I've never really been...
There's also lots of bad things that don't cross those lines.
Yeah, you don't need to... You certainly don't cross those lines, and certainly I've never been one for... I don't think I've ever been one for particularly delving into the gory details. No,
because you game with me too often.
That is fair. Yeah. Definitely, it works differently depending on where we're at. I have clicked on to the character creation tab to take a look at some stuff over here. They approach things. It's certainly still powered by the apocalypse, but they break things open a little bit more with regards to like the look and the name. So you choose your look and appearance. I think it's hilarious that the first slot is pick your name. Haha. Have they not met people? On the entanglements and names tab, there's examples of conventional and sort of Wulin type of names. Certainly no reason you don't need to go for a traditional name. Very common in the source material to have a name like, Lucky Dog or Collapsing Star or, whatever, Crashing Zebra, Unsafe Driver, whatever.
But you have to have a story as to why that's the
Sure,
name.
absolutely.
And you don't have to tell it, but you have to have the story.
Yeah. So appearance, rather than like having a set number of things you're supposed to check off, you just kind of pick, circle all things that apply. The style, everyone has a fighting style, which is associated with one of their elements. One of the elements. There's some typos in this that do not appear in the book. One of the elements that they have for stats, one of the stat elements. This is what you'll be rolling for conflicts. Your style element, there you go. Should reflect what your style looks like. Pick a name for your style. You'll find examples on the entanglements and names tab. So there's some example ones in there. You can use your style unarmed. Most styles have weapons associated with them, even if you're not necessarily using them. This is mostly for color and fiction. You can pretty much fight with anything. Flexible, improvised, massive. I do like the sixth of the playbooks. One of the fight styles in there is basically your weapon of choice is whatever stupid thing you picked up to fight with. Improvised is your whole fight style. So that's just kind of a thing there to keep in the back of your mind, and also know that it aligns to a stat. And if that stat happens to be, and I'm going to use the veil term for this because I can't remember what he calls it in the Hearts of Wulin, but if your stat is currently spiked, you can't fight. Marked. Yeah. Which I think is a lovely. It's a lovely way of approaching the whole. Well, in Veil, it's always it's like
It's the high drama.
Yeah. Well, it's partly that, and it's also the well, my angry stat is high, so I'm always going to act angrily. Well, it doesn't work because eventually you're going to spike that and not be spike that particular wheel, and you won't be able to use it. So nice balance for that.
Well, and it really does then kind of push the play toward how do I get that cleared.
Yeah, which certainly we're familiar with that in masks. Those comfort and support moves, which I like in this move. They've kind of combined helping and the comfort and support into one thing. My daughter was particularly chuffed when I was reading a bit of the rules, and she realized that in this game, it's comfort and support, not comfort or support, as it apparently is in masks. That her group is quite affronted by. It's not comfort and support. It's always comfort and support, but in here it is properly written out. So the arrays start out like so. I don't.
They'll net out to +3.
Yeah, they all net out to +3, without there actually being a 3. Really, one of the challenges with any of the Powered by the Apocalypse stuff is having those pluses not be overwhelming and right off the bat. And if I remember right, with the rules, I think the most you can have adding to a roll is a +3. I think that's as high as it can go. Or is it a +4? It's either a +3 or +4. It's kind of there's a pretty hard cap that is explicitly said in this one, and where it isn't explicitly stated in like Mass. I don't think.
Mass caps are +4.
Yeah, except that you can like add as much team as you want, which is
the highest bonus to a roll is +3.
There you go.
So the lowest is -2.
So yeah.
However, after a roll, a player may spend bonds to give +1 to the roll's result.
And see, that's an interesting thing. It looks there's a little bit. And it also says in the spending of stuff off of bonds that you can spend as many bonds as you want. So the most you can add to a roll is a +3, like when you roll, but it looks like you can dump as much as you want to out of bonds after the fact.
I mean, that makes sense. It's a limited currency.
It is definitely a limited currency, more so probably than fate points even. And there's some it doesn't just automatically happen. It's like, oh, you got all your bonds back at the end of the session. It isn't like that. You're putting work in to get those bonds, which is so anyway. Element stuff. The array is pretty straightforward. We've got our playbooks. You guys have talked about those a little bit. I made some notes on the character page next, just to kind of remember for myself. Pick one of the 6 playbooks. All of them have a unique agenda. We'll talk a little bit more about that worry about entanglements, which is part of the reason that I risk mockery, apparently with good cause, and threw some NPCs out there for people to bounce stuff off because the entanglements sort of need NPCs. So figured I'd provide some, and then figuring out bonds because each one of your entanglements also comes with somebody who's involved in that triangle of drama is somebody that you have a bond pointed at. So all of that kind of stuff. So anyway, and to that point, Mike's the only one that really commented, but I'll mention it. I did poke around and sort of come up with a pack of NPCs. This is all stuff that can be very easily chucked. The general idea for this particular group of NPCs would be to center the game in a place. So it would be less of a sort of travel fantasy, road trip to save the world kind of thing, or road trip to do whatever kind of thing, as much as we are in this prefecture, this county, this whatever. I think prefecture would probably be the most appropriate thing. We're in this place, and here are some of the movers and shakers in this place, of which you may also be some. So that, and then from there figure out like what the hell is going on here based, it's more the idea of like providing some sort of background B plot that can kind of be churning along in the background while you guys have your own crap going on as well. It always helps to have the drama have like a backbeat of like, if we're not currently pining for the boyfriend who will never pay attention to us, we've always got the problem that there's a power grab going on because the Duke is in a coma. Not Duke. Lord. Whatever.
Regent.
The Regent. The whatever is in a coma, and the two sons, blah, 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 blah. Having that kind of crap going on in the background also gives you NPCs to point people at. Anyway, so that's out there, and I've thrown, very, very limited crap, mostly based on my impressions of people's faces from the pictures and that kind of thing. For instance, the party boy hanger-on whose pronouns are, if you insist. Anyway, so that's that, and we go back over to the character. Where are we?
I point out that I think Bill had flagged more the Wanderer
Yeah,
playbook, and
the first
that
question
had also been the Wandering teacher. So
yeah, and
I think that's something to maybe have a discussion about is to and they're both completely legit settings, and I can figure out a way to make either of them work. So.
Well,
was it you were the wandering? I think you were like you're like the one that people keep coming to for advice or challenges or that kind of thing. Yeah, Dave, something like that. I'm trying to. The one and to your point, and yeah, I actually thought about that because it was an interesting kind of a deal. Because what I saw that leapt out at me a little bit with Bill's, I need to make this thing a little. Hang on, I'm gonna zoom this out a little bit. It's so big. View. Where's my zoom at? The zoom is too big. Make smaller. There was a thing with regards to the Wanderer or the Outsider, how it was described. Yeah, I guess it was more how it was described in the book than anything I saw on here, which was the idea that I'm going to actually have to go back over to the book.
It's page 105 that you're looking for, Joyce.
I didn't think I'd gotten that far into the book.
Well, it's the part for GMing the Outsider, and one of the things that they say is, if someone takes the Wanderer and the game ends up remaining in one place, replace town or region with neighborhood or group.
That works, sure.
However,
the thing that I was thinking at, that I was looking at was actually all the way back on page 22. And I was just looking at just the sort of high-level descriptions of the playbooks, and the Outsider thing that kind of jumped out at me as I was like, do I even waste my time doing these things up, was play this character if you want to be distanced from the world, the Wulin world, but drawn back into it by relationships and promises. And I'm thinking it's like, well, maybe there's an angle here for everything going to hell in this prefecture, and somebody, I received a letter, and then so and so is begging me to come back and help with all of this nonsense because I'm the Lord's third son, or I'm the whatever. That the idea of being pulled back, I try to go out and, roam the world because you guys are all pieces of crap and I don't like you, but this one person that I actually like here has begged me to come back or something. that's one of a possible 100 possible angles. But yeah, your thing also entirely viable. I was just telling you the one thing that says, well, and again, I don't care. I can delete the whole page. All the NPC slot there's 15 more NPC slots on that page, and I can make more by deleting out stuff. We don't have to use any of these guys. I just wanted to give us a springboard. Maybe save some time.
I think that's great. And like I said, my character and the story I have in mind for him works with, he's the wandering whatever it is within the prefecture, or even within.
Oh yeah.
The city.
If you're talking about like this is a place with like 4 or 5 good sized towns / villages, at least aside from the main lord, at least 4 people at like that sort of baron or lord level who are governing various villages and that kind of thing. So it's big enough that you can be out of sight of a particular area there for months. And there's wilderness, so whatever. It's all good.
So, Dwayne,
Mm-hmm.
this is a horrible example, mostly because, actually, it's a great example, but I'm not apt to bring it up because in recent years Kevin Sorbo has turned into an asshole.
This is true, yeah.
But the Hercules, the Legendary Journeys, like episodic sort of thing, where it's like you're going to the same places, you're just rotating through them.
Right, which is why occasionally you run across the same. Oh, we're back in in town X, and oh yeah, there's the same actor there as the prince who was an asshole last time.
Or even better, it's like, oh, we're in this town, but this actor from this village is here now because they had to travel here for something else.
Yep.
And it's oh yeah, it makes perfect sense.
And also, just to be clear, if it's like, what do I want to say? Not that this really needs to be said at this point, I don't think, but it never hurts to repeat it. If we get to entanglements and your entanglements change what's implied by the NPCs, I care not a whit. So, if it's like, oh, well, my entanglement is that the sister-in-law has been teaching me dark sorcery. Okay, she's a sorcerer now. Sweet. Like, whatever. I am the third, black sheep son of the main lord. Cool. Awesome. Love it. My entanglement is that I'm having certainly unrequited, like, romances and stuff are practically
required.
Practically required, but I am actually having an active affair with this person. I am this dude's son, daughter, whatever. This is silly putty. Do whatever you want to it. So that only makes the whole whatever crap I pasted in there more valuable as far as I'm concerned.
It reminds me of the writing exercises that you guys did when you were creating the dictionary.
What do we call that? Lexicon.
Oh, yes.
The lexicon.
Yes.
Right, where you pointed at each other. It's sort of the thing is like you throw the first idea out and then it gets morphed into something further by the remaining.
You're giving
authors.
a name, a pronoun, and like a 2-word description. Go.
Yeah.
Now write a story. All right. So, yes, sir.
Also, just to give you another thought, at least this was something so for another game that they mentioned in the back of this one that kind of has like the same stuff as this one, which is Tanshi,
I don't think I know
which
that
is
one.
like, it's the Fate, game in this sort of genre. This is actually the map of the area they give you, just sort of to give you like an idea of like what I kind of feel like this sort of like movement around would like consist of.
Yeah, I dig it, and that's maybe that's. I mean, look at it from one side, it's not that big.
It's a nice shortcut.
But it's we're all inside of a barony. That's fine. I say barony because I'm Western and uneducated, but
Providence.
Yeah.
Province.
For something, protectorate. Starts with a P.
I
Province.
It says it at the bottom.
There you go. Oh, province. I was trying to think of what I had said for the NPC dude. Prefecture. But that's whatever. Neither here nor there. Entanglements, bonds. We'll get to all that. So let me get the wherever I managed to put that thing. I think I went too far. I did go too far. Anyway, I have flipped on to the actual character tab where I kind of at least put people's names at the top and put question mark next to the roles and things of that nature. I'm already in love a little bit, Dave. I like your character's name.
Oh, thank you.
Fiery Perfection Bow. Silent Sun.
That was gonna be Bow.
Bow.
As in roll, as in
I mean, if you
bow, BAO.
BAO.
Yes.
It's also a
one
name.
of the legitimate names that's given.
Yep,
Okay.
it is one of the sample names given.
It's also
Spicy
the
jalapeno
name.
bun. Got it.
Yeah, well, yeah, like the buns that are usually with the chashu pork,
Yeah.
Right.
etc.
Somebody should
So
mention that. Go ahead.
I haven't
Dave-
made those in forever. Should
Yeah.
do that.
so that's Dave with the role of the aware, the wise person, thoughtful and wise. People recognize your skill
or
in learning.
knowledgeable.
Knowledgeable, yeah. Traveling with the roles as I say roles, master, scholar, or traveling teacher. And Dave's at least looked at certainly seems to be going with the traveling. There's all that kind of good stuff. James had said something about the loyal. Mike had said something about the Bravo. Margie, the student, hopeful apprentice, which I wrote all the way down, and Bill had the outside wanderer. Silent Sun.
Well, yeah, the hopeful apprentice is the subcategory.
Penland. I'm Pengland.
Hang.
I'm gonna switch the NG around. Penlang. No, Pengland.
Penglan.
Penglan.
But so Peng is the family name, the surname.
Yes.
Okay.
Like a pangolin, like the little animal that
No.
grows up and is so cute.
No.
That's gonna actually though.
Pangolin?
You say no, but that will actually help me remember it. So,
Gotta come up with whatever mental hoops you gotta jump through in order to get
Yes.
things right.
I'm just saying that's not where the inspiration was drawn from, Mom.
that's fair.
That's fine.
Okay, so yeah. So I loyal swordsman, very cool. Mike's got his stuff, and looks like we have
Yep, I'm gonna do the thing.
young man in worn traveling garb. So I encourage everybody. Let's just take a few minutes here while we're looking at stuff.
Fill in the things we've figured out
Fill in
before
the-
we get to the things that we haven't.
Yeah, fill in the things you've figured out. Look at name. You got a lovely selection of options there on the tab that's immediately previous to this one. If I'm gonna pull. Where is that at? It's in the NPC. Is it NPCs? No, entanglements and names. I'm gonna pull that back a little bit closer so that the tab is a little bit more within range. I'll bring the entanglements. I may hide these eventually just because we don't need them, except I don't think. Except in character generation, but they're useful in character generation. But the entanglements and names tabs have names. So if you're stuck in any way, recommend that. If you're looking at the playbook, and the playbooks are nicely laid out right next to the character page to kind of look at the descriptions, noting down the player agenda. You have one default move depending on which of the roles you pick, and then there's two other moves to pick as well depending on which playbook you are. So easy to copy paste. If you want to talk about a courtly one as a possible thing or a fantastic playbook, do call it out, holler, whatever. Sorcerer. There is really not, at least in the names, like a huge change between the name suggestions on entanglements and names versus the courtly one versus the fantastic one. Those are all basically the same. The entanglements change that they suggest.
Oh, yeah, gotta be setting specific for
Yeah,
those.
sure. The
Names are names.
The names are names. Yeah, there's not like, oh, suddenly I can call myself Dragon Fist Killer now that I'm in Fantastic. No, you can pretty much call yourself that whenever you really want to. Lucky Dog. It's one of the earliest playthroughs, actual plays that I've heard Lowell run was a character our player who was doing a character called Lucky Dog.
Oh, that's good.
I mean, the fact that that is a bow and it is a bun works even better given your background, Dave.
It does, actually.
Yeah, that makes it even more.
Amusing.
Yeah, because he's an actual chef.
Oh. There is a big difference in the Courtly one.
In the entanglements? Or
Yeah, the other names are different.
are they?
I thought so. I guess not. I thought they were. But then I found Dragon Fist Killer again. I was like,
No,
no.
I'm toggling back and forth between the two tabs, and they're pretty much the same. I think they're all the same.
No, it was a line break that got me.
Yeah, it does. There's something about the entanglements that is pushing things down a notch
Yep.
between the entanglements and the courtly and fantastic ones. There's every so often in here, I just bump across the line that I think is just really well done, just in terms of representation and stuff for the game. It's almost, I feel like, applauding something is just the bare minimum of what people should be doing anymore, but it's still nice to see. So yeah, as kind of laying out in the book. Figure out your playbooks, your look, style, your fighting style. Again, names of the fighting style suggestions are on those tabs that we already mentioned. Figure out your element spread, paying special attention, I think, probably to the pros and cons of each one of the elements, like the good qualities and troublesome qualities. And then we'll get to, once you feel like you've gotten that much, where it's like you've got your elements, your fighting style, look and appearance, and hopefully name. We'll get to introductions, because we got to get to know each other before we can talk about all of our possible entanglements. Bill, on yours, the concealing hat, is it like the there's two ways I see concealing hat immediately off the top of my head, and one is the sort of the wide brimmed sort of magistrate / priest number that you see in like the Netflix series Kingdom, or there's that one from Ninja Scroll where it's like the full sort of head cage, where halfway down the front of the hat there's like the sort of grill in the straw hat that you can see out through, but it completely covers your head. Like where do we fall on that spectrum? What kind of concealing hat is it?
It's just a straw hat that just happens to be very concealing.
Nice. Is it like a really clean straw hat, or one of the more like the raggedy around the edge sort of?
It's raggedy around the edge.
Yeah. It's a woven straw hat, very well done, but hems are hard, so we just
So
minor victories.
The moves notes a roll move. My roll gets 2 moves, or says pick 2. So I've just put one into roll move and one into move 1.
There's a roll move which is specific to that roll, and then you pick 2 of the general moves.
Yeah, you're right. I got it. Yeah.
Yeah, the traveling teacher is a move itself.
Right. That's the way that works. Got it.
Yep.
Okay. I can fix that. We have the technology.
The Gallivant.
We gotta get to sing.
Just makes you want to break into song.
Gallivant. Da, 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 da.
How did I know you'd seen that show?
I love that show.
Though not wealthy, you know how to stay ahead of problems when you would suffer social, legal, or financial consequences. Name someone and roll. On a hit, they suffer instead. See, this is why I have a rich tapestry of NPCs that you can largely consider nameless, Mike, because you could just pick out of a hat and say, that guy over there, he's the one that's going to get saddled with this thing. You find out later it's the visiting imperial magistrate, because who can keep track of these things? You have restlessly traveled the land and evaded many people. The first time each session you're in a town or a region. And you were saying, like, for a more localized area, instead of doing town or region, it says, this is on 110, you said, Mike? I'm just thinking.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it was.
Sorry, I'm making you switch gears here.
It was in the GM, like, there's the GM playbooks.
Yeah, I'm looking.
Chapter.
I think I'm in the right area.
And it is page 105.
Too far.
Hey, Bill.
Yeah.
I want to do something. I want to do something very silly. I would also like to know Serpentine River style.
Right.
I just wanted to make sure you were cool with it.
2 students of Serpentine River style.
Uh-huh.
See, then you. I think it'd be funny if it was like you both know the style, but you have different elements for it.
Oh no, I'm just very bad at it. That's the difference.
It's not the, one of you is a member of the Palestine Liberation Front and one of you is the Palestine Front for Liberation.
Judean, but yeah.
Oh, Judean, sorry. Nothing worse than somebody who's close to the same thing, but not exactly the same.
Oh, dear.
Oh, goodness. You're not that bad at it. +1's not bad.
Oh, yeah, no. Statistically, I'm not bad at it. Narratively, I'm horrible at it.
There we go.
Style, you're not good at the style. You can still get things done. Is that what you're saying?
Uh-huh.
I like it.
Serpentine River style is a style of grace and fluidity and flexibility. Talk to Fivecoin and it's like, Serpentine style is a really good style for lazy. I call it the lazy river style. Double-edged sword. Okay, both of you. Wow. Please holler if this is not okay. Double-edged sword. Okay, so what I always think of as the the Chinese straight sword. The single-edged sword, if you
It's
show
more like a saber.
it looks like, well, to me it looks like a scimitar, like what you would think of as a scimitar. Like it's got that kind of a
Yeah, the
a curve.
double-edged is the more traditional one you're probably thinking of.
The Green Destiny. Like from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon would be your double-edged sword.
Speaking of toys, I know we had talked about this before. Did you ever go and watch the sequel to that?
I did not. Now that you mention it,
we had talked about it. It's on Netflix. It's not horrible.
I'll have to go check it out.
It's not like it definitely feels like a made-for-TV movie sequel.
I'm poking around a lot of stuff. One of the folks that I'm friends with on the GM guy I'm friends with on TikTok recommended a couple different shows and movies to level the laser of my ADHD hyperfocus on, and mentioned that Legend of the Condor Heroes is on YouTube. Like all 60 episodes or something like that is on YouTube, subtitled. So I flipped on that. I kind of randomly commented to my kids, I'm like, how long before we see somebody who's like very obviously a badass? Like any takers, like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, like how long is it going to be? Will we see one? Is it that kind of, maybe it's one where we don't see one right away. And the opening scene is two brothers drinking, I'm going to assume, rice wine. It's not really said, and then smashing on the floor, and then their two wives come out and are chuckling with each other about whatever. And then we see a stranger walk into town carrying what may just be a harmless satchel, but for my money, it looks like a burlap sack with a head in it. I have not been proven right on this.
A little Medusa-ness.
But it's winter, cold, the ground is covered in snow, and we get a close-up of his shoe trotting on the ground into the town, and he's not touching the ground as he walks.
Legolas.
And no, Legolas touches the ground. He just doesn't have enough mass to break the crust of the snow. This dude is legit not touching the ground. And my son.
Why walk when you can fly?
My son, badass sighted, and he's just kind of strolling along. And the notable thing is the two brothers both like do the slow head turn and lock in on this guy. Like notice him arrive, and then you get a shot past them, like over their shoulders to him, and he's still a solid 300 yards away at the other end of town. Like he's just come into town. He is like, you could put if any one of them raised their hand, they would completely obscure the guy to the camera. But they noticed, like, ooh, he is very light on his feet. Yes, extremely light on his feet. We should invite him to drink. Okay, that's where we are. Anyway. Good stuff.
All right, I got a picture, I got a story, I think I have everything except entanglements.
All righty. Flexible staves, knives, pots, utensils. Oh my God, you fight with crockery and cutlery. I love it. It doesn't really say faction or group is one of the things we need to figure out, is it, or no?
I think you do.
I don't. Where? Okay. Shoot on back here to where I was. Back further and further. You got your
I feel like if we figure it out,
it shows up in the name section for the character creation outline that is provided.
Generally, surnames come first. Blah blah blah. Gender. Great little box text on gender.
And they could show up in relationship stuff, I think.
Yeah. Each character has a fighting style. I'm just seeing if it mentions anything with the where's the name bit? Because that's really up next to where it would be.
So factions are just a thing that you come up with.
Yeah.
It's a couple of examples, and you know.
There's examples. It doesn't really specifically say, and here's where you when you would probably do it.
You belong to the world of the Wulin. Martial factions and clans with their own rules and hierarchy.
What page is that on, Dave?
That was on page at the very beginning.
Oh.
It's like what a player characters do is literally page 6.
Oh,
I was looking at the cheat sheet where
excuse me,
factions
page
come
8.
between name and look. Step 2 and step 3.
Yeah.
interesting. Cool.
All interact with a community of sects, clans, orthodox and unorthodox, and factions.
Cool.
The community is called Wulin, literally martial forest.
Yeah. No. Yeah. And I remember reading that bit, so I just thought it might have been.
Bonds show up. Bonds can be with friends. Ties between PC and their friends, enemies, and factions.
Indigo Dawning Ritual.
And it shows up in the cats section underneath concept and subject matter.
Yeah, Margie's call
One
of
faction.
Margie's call of the cheat sheet's probably something to think about. Certainly.
Yeah, page 28 probably talks about it, kind of going through the rules the first time the most clearly with the introductions on faction.
Yeah. Thank you.
You can have an entanglement with a faction, clan, or group. Figure out someone to name as the face of that relationship.
Faction they belong to, have left, are hunted by, and whether or not they're righteous, ambiguous, or unrighteous. All right, Dave seems pretty
Everything but the relationship
pretty
stuff.
well wrapped up. Jangles when he walks. I like it.
Paints a picture right there.
I mean, it really does. And you know he's got the kind of like gait that encourages jangling. Naginata.
I have Queen Zemin.
Of course.
Naginata.
The skinny halberd. No.
Graceful
More like a
halberd.
skinny falchion.
The graceful.
Graceful halberd.
Actually, in China, it's called something different.
Yeah. Well, and spear is
I
always
told
safe.
you
Yeah, I
I
know.
know, I know.
You know the one more than the other for sure.
Guandao,
Guando. Sure.
or probably called a Yan Yui Dao. Literally reclining moonblade.
That's
Didn't we
pretty.
just watch an episode where they made that on
Yeah,
Forged in Fire?
Forged in Fire, yeah.
Oh, you guys watch that too?
What's it called?
Oh,
of course.
religiously.
Oh.
Forged in Fire. It's one of
Oh
my
my.
favorite reality shows.
Yep, I watch it every week too. It is fantastic. Probably the only reason to still watch History Channel.
None of the commercials make me want to watch anything else. So
No, but it's so amusing.
Every now and then,
look,
alone
it's yet
is
another
kinda good.
season of the mysterious treasure of Oak Island.
Sky Daughter Shu, 5 Coins Zemin, Penglan, Fire Perfection Bow, Silent Sun.
One of my coworkers, by the way, is addicted to the Curse of Oak Island, and I
Oh,
couldn't-
wow.
and I
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
and I could not tell. Well, he's the coworker I went to Korea with, like the guy who trained me in like my job right now. It is just like he is like this really cool dude, and that is like the one thing is like I sat there and I watched like 2 hours of that show because I had nothing fucking else going on that day.
God.
And I was just like eventually it's just like, what's the appeal of this? And it's just like, well, these guys are just so passionate about this. And I was like, sure.
I will tell you, the only fascination that show has for me is that when I was literally in junior high, might have been even in elementary school, when we would go on a road trip vacation, we were each allowed, my brother and I were each allowed to buy a book to entertain us. And so in that year, which would have been like 1970 something low number at the latest, I bought a book of Ripley's Believe It or Not things. And I swear to God, one of the items in there was the treasure of Oak Island and all the adventures that people had gone through trying to find the treasure. And the fact that 50 years later, there's a frickin' TV show, reality show about it, is just endlessly amusing. Ripley has got to be smiling wherever he is. That itself could be a Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Is certainly
This-
a thing.
James, your weapon is the stringed instrument?
Yes.
Awesome.
I mean,
Ooh.
Erhu.
A sword.
The
sword.
Arku. It's weird.
I only know this. I only recognized it because I needed a background bed of music for talking about this game earlier today, and I went searching for well-known Chinese instruments, and that was number 1 with a bullet.
Yeah, it's bad. Look it up. It's weird. You'll get a kick out of it.
Well, what clef does it use?
Oh,
look at that.
It's atonal.
Well,
I mean, it sure looks like it could be used as a warhammer.
El Kabong.
Yeah, the only problem is the bow
Uh-huh.
is if you look carefully, it's between the string.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
it's funky.
you do you. That is, I like the one with the dragon head in the picture search. That's pretty cool.
I'm sorry, where are we looking?
I will throw you a link in Discord.
Sorry, I'm catching up now that I'm back at my computer.
This is the link that I actually use, and there's like the sixth one on the image list has like a cool dragon's head up at the top of the shaft. It's pretty neat looking.
Fancy.
Yeah, isn't it? I like it. Yeah, I feel like yours need to be made out of ironwood or something just to be able to withstand
Torture.
the misuse. That's pretty. I like that dragon head.
I like
That's
it.
pretty. Good looking. All right.
Yeah, my dude. No explanation why it works. It just does.
It just does. I do want to know the style element though. Oh, and the style name.
I'm working on it.
We got to know though. We got to have this. This is
Listen,
Margie,
I'm working on
yeah,
it.
Margie owes me look and story too, so you know.
Yeah, I do too. So
Well, but I thought this was going to be more important.
We gotta know what you look like so we know whether or not to trust you.
Right. She looks nice.
so you say.
Do you know?
She is courtly.
All right, Bill. That is an outstanding background story and microfiction.
So the reason he's here is the bride called him back to help with some problem.
I was gonna take that one.
That's okay.
It might be the same.
It
Go
could
ahead.
be
It might
the same bride. Oh my god.
That will be a weird triangle right there.
Oh, well, if you look at Bill's backstory, it sort of makes a certain amount of sense. They keep promising her to people, and then they actually have a moment to talk with the groom-to-be, and it's like, yeah, I'm not interested in men.
No, not groom to be. Like the ceremony got done.
Oh,
They didn't
Groom.
ask.
groom, period. Not groom-to-be.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's an unnamed character
That's
that
lovely.
I had a picture down at the bottom that I hadn't put a name to or anything like that might serve very well in the NPC section. And her rather pinch-faced looking mother in the NPC thing that might serve.
Yeah, please fill in specific names when you get there so that I can refer back to that.
Yeah, I don't have a good. Let me look at the names thing.
But James, what exactly were you gonna use? I want to hear this.
Oh, nothing. I had just like, of the like various romance bonds. The one of the few that stood out to me is I fled from X because of heartache, but Y, their lover, has called me back to honor a debt, which sounded like kind of the one you're going at.
Yeah, pretty much.
I see. I see no reason it couldn't be both. It couldn't be the same. I mean, I could think of a few reasons, but there's just as many reasons that's delightful. So,
Okay, I'm thinking between two here. This is the one I'm thinking of right now, which I just think the group needs.
Oh my god. Okay. I'm not saying oh my god to use. Apparently
No.
I need to just like shut off my Google Drive backup and sync in it. Just go again because it's just not actually doing the thing it's supposed to do. All right. What were you saying, Margie? Sorry. I'm just.
Okay, so I'm putting my second move in. And I'll describe the other one that I'm oops, I forgot I had cap lock on. Okay, so the one I think I'm going to go with is called Rage and Passion. So after a roll where someone offends someone else, on a hit, I can change something they said and make it into a softer word. If it is a failed move, you reduce the effect the GM of the GM move. Depending upon the situation, a 10 plus may skip over it completely. On a miss, you worsen the offense. The other one is sort of more, I think it's less character-based and more play-based, but basically when you use comfort and support in a conflict situation to clear an ally's wound, you may clear an element on someone as well, including yourself. That one sounds more tactical. The Rage and Passion just sounds more fun.
I mean.
I have a feeling you guys are going to be saying a lot of the wrong thing. Just,
What?
I never said the wrong thing.
I'm offended that you would think so.
Silent is literally a name.
I say the wrong thing all the time.
You all, to which it is revealed Margie was really just talking about that. Okay, so this
There you go,
is
Joyce. I have a story there.
student. What are the names of the two that you're looking at, Margie? That you're between?
Rage and Passion, and the other one is State of Divinity. These are the basic student playbook.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm looking.
If you're looking on the sheet, State of Divinity is the very
all the way
last
at the
one,
bottom, yeah.
and Rage and Passion is like 3 up from that.
Oh, they're both very cool. Okay. Okay. I'm that's unhelpful, but I'm not going to be helpful. They're both very cool, and
So
I
I think I'll go with the story one.
I was gonna say which you're trying to choose between the two of them.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say just of what I know of your play style, State of Divinity sounds like something that'll come up a lot. Rage and Passion sounds like something that you may do frequently.
I don't know. It depends upon how many hicks are in the room.
see. I will say this. You have in the past, on more than one occasion, most recently Starforge, but that's not the only time, picked a move that's essentially like, I'm going to be ready to heal people, and then not needed it, or needed it once in an entire campaign. Like, it just doesn't come up that often.
This is also true.
You didn't use it a ton on Nails, and I'm pretty sure you had it on, I can't remember, some other game. I think maybe it was Fellowship or something like that, and it just did not ever happen.
Well, I just sort of like this one as being a sort of more courtly
yeah.
thing.
The one where you turn aside the harsh words thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rage and Passion.
We need somebody with a little bit of hot-headedness well, it's not really hot-headedness.
I'm surprised if we don't.
Not so much hot-headedness, I guess, as it is
a mouth.
Yeah, or something. We're gonna have entanglements. Sometimes people are gonna say things that are not.
It's a melodrama, or it should be like.
There should be things where people can be affronted, and someone needs to step in and soften what's said.
Yep.
Of course, I didn't put the name in. Sweet jumpin' Jiminy. I need their names. Where would I look? There we go. That's where I would look. All right. All right.
Oh my god, okay.
Sorry, I was figuring out names and stuff and poking about, and silence reigns, but that's probably okay. All right. I was quite sure. Lives well off of people's imagination. I like it.
Yep.
I think it's interesting because this isn't quite right, but most of the characters have sort of nickname names. Titles, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely didn't lean that way, although I might go back and fiddle with it. In my head, I'm splitting it somewhat because certainly a lot of the NPCs that I've sort of dressed out are people that are sort of part of the establishment, in fact, I know exactly one person who should definitely have more of a title than a standard name that I need to go back and tweak. But I like the idea that sort of the closer you get to Wuxia, the more likely a title, is to be there.
A martial name.
Yeah.
Sort of.
And I, for my character, I see it as being like, there's going to be people who refer to him that way. There's going to be other people, and probably just when he introduces himself, they're just going to use Bao. So
sure. What were you going to say, Bill?
Well, for me, there's two things. First, out of character, I'm a white guy from America. I do not feel comfortable just coming up with Chinese names and be like, okay, I'm going to do a thing.
That's fair.
Whatever anybody else does, I'm cool with that. But for me, a nickname like this is easier. Second, in universe, this guy is definitely not going by his original name for obvious reasons.
No, it's excellent. And I'm not saying it's an explicit thing, it's explicitly the more into Wuxia you are, you're more likely to have a title, but it does seem to kind of trend that way, which isn't to say that somebody who's fighting with a musical instrument isn't also well steeped in Wuxia stuff. That says, that's almost like the exception that proves the rule a little bit. And I like the fact that when you get towards the more straight-laced people, the Lord of this prefecture, or, the sister-in-law, or the abbot of the temple, and the nun, and blah, 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 blah. These are people who don't have that going on. Go ahead.
So for some people, your family is important. That's the thing that you hang yourself on.
Yeah, sure.
For other people, it's your reputation. And the reputation can kind of come from a nickname.
Yeah.
And in that case, you want to sell yourself as Invincible Sword Princess. And anybody who has a problem with that, they'll square up with you. But anybody who doesn't want to take that risk is going to be like, okay.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. I like what it says. I like the the names thing. I'm trying to remember the name of the very large double-edged sword. I feel like that's a different name than like the proper monster two-hander.
Are you thinking of the Dadao?
Yeah, so I'm always going to have a fondness for the Chinese broadsword, which is the curved, the scimitar-looking one, because that was the second weapon that got taught in Tai Chi.
The Dao.
I'm sorry, I'm not gonna let it slide that your character image is just a stylized hunk from Voltron.
That is literally, I discovered only after I started searching it that's what that character was from.
Oh,
But
there it is. Oh, that's so good, though.
That's
Oh,
that's
no,
the
it's
first
perfect.
image I could. That's the first image I could find that was like a fantasy chef.
It's perfect, but I am calling you out on
The
it.
way-
And I will tell you that when you start searching for Asian character chef type, you get a lot of stuff that just does not at all fit.
Yeah, the way that he is sort of seductively yet magically sprinkling salt is so good.
So I included the link to the actual DeviantArt that's the original, which unfortunately will not translate through the image link. But put it down below.
Credit where it's due. I didn't realize there was. I didn't scroll down far enough to realize there was a picture place. Oh, there's the hat. Beautiful.
I'm sorry, where are you putting this?
All the way at the
Scroll-
bottom of the character
all the way at the
sheets.
bottom of the character sheet.
Ah,
Scroll.
If you
There's a-
add the
Scroll
link,
like the wind.
if you add the link where it says link, scroll a little bit back up again.
yeah.
The
If you scroll a little bit back up, there's an actual field to put the link in, and it will bring the
I see
picture in
it.
for you. Okay.
I'm trying to think. There's a in one of the fights in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. The characters pulls out a proper two-handed straight sword, and I can't think of the name of it.
I know the one you're talking about.
Oh yeah, and I want.
Probably from Fortune Fire.
Yeah.
That would be the Chinese straight sword.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I feel like if I do that, I'm going to
Xi'an.
get the little one. That's the little one, though. I would think the bigger one would have a different name. Maybe not.
One-handed versions of blades varying from 45 to 80 centimeters in length. That implies there's a two-handed.
Yeah.
So apparently it is still Jian, but it's got some more words in front of its name. I am going to probably screw that.
Like Dao?
That was the more curved single.
No,
Isn't it?
hell,
Su. HSU?
Sue?
Yeah, here we go. Let me link this. I'll put it over in chat. I'm looking for it because I need a. There it is in Discord. Su two-handed John. Maybe that word means something else entirely. Oh no, that's the name of the guy who.
And it's the name of the guy who made it.
Actually, though I actually that whole thing just got me to the name that I needed for this NPC.
Two-handed Jian.
Two-handed Z. His name is Z, but because he's more of like common born, and I like the idea of him having a title rather than a family name.
Some Jian are for heavier two-handed styles that are used in some Chinese martial.
Okay. Cool. Who's the only guy that left out at me is like someone I think would have. Characters. Porcelain skin framed by jaw-length lustrous straight hair. Wears a clan-marked court garb cut in a loose.
So she can move. I don't have her story yet.
That's fine. We'll get there. I mean, honestly, I can live without a story as long as we know what they look like. If that helps.
Wow.
What?
Yeah.
I can live without a story. Let me amend that to say I can live without the story for now, since this may or may not be something that you would all immediately know right off the bat. I feel like we can infer a lot from name, look, elements, style name, and the weapon of choice for your. Certainly, Dave's says a lot.
Where are you getting the
Style names?
No, I got my style. That's there. The towards the bottom, the player agenda.
Oh, that's if you look.
If you look at the playbook, there'll be 5 things listed, and the 5th apparently is the only one that's different.
Yep.
Between the playbook. I'm not sure
Now,
if it's on the short.
Yeah, it's in the playbooks tab. It's for you. It's revel and naivety.
I'm sorry.
Pull that back up. I'm sure it's on there. There we go. The do or do. I don't know. That's the one that's different for you.
That's weird. Why did they do that?
Why did who do what?
I went to do a copy paste thing and it did something very strange, which is fine.
You're in my cell.
So you can be there too. Act against convention. Enjoy every moment. Expression. I like how your character background story, Bill, like starts right off with act against convention. Like, where I came from.
So on my shelf and now sitting in front of me is a book called Weapons of the Gods, which is a Wuxia action series RPG from a long time back. Authors are credited as Brad Elliott and R. Sean Borgstrom.
Yep.
If you remember Exalted, the Serials, Chugo's, and all that stuff, like that's their stock and trade. And this book is like 1/3 rules and 2/3 like amazingly out there, but also very grounded and instructive tales from like this fantasy culture that they've based all this game off of, which is very similar in spirit to this one.
Yeah.
So that sort of tone of just short, effective back and forth, dialogues that explore a philosophy in very short fashion, has been with me for a long time. And this character story was written in that spirit.
R. Sean Borgstrom did Weapons of the Gods and the Exalted stuff. On their own time, did a little pink, tiny little book that you cannot get anymore called Nobilis, and then came out with a gigantic, back-breaking, beautiful coffee table book called Nobilis Second Edition, and then Chubo's Magical Whisk Granting Engine and Wizard Thurgist Fatalist, which everybody abbreviated WTF, and just came out with and somewhere in there changed their name from R. Sean Borgstrom, which later presented as R stands for Rebecca, and then has changed her name to Jenna Moran, and just released Glitch through Kickstarter, which is another gorgeous white-covered coffee table book-sized RPG that's sort of a sequel to Nobilis, where what if the creatures from beyond creation that wanted all things to be wiped away, but depressed? Anyway, but yeah, has always been, if you can find it out on the internet and like the Wayback Machines and stuff, had an absolutely delightful blog for a while called Witherby Dragons, where she would post up microfiction that was sort of in an amalgam state of stuff that fit in Nobilis and stuff that fit in Weapons of the Gods and all these different places. Is just plain weird ass stuff, and was always a delight to read, even if I didn't really understand what the heck it was about. Wild creator. Very, very cool. I hadn't heard Weapons of the Gods in age. Who was the other person on that, Bill?
Brad Elliott.
I feel like, and a lot of people knew, obviously did a ton of writing for Exalted, which I never really got into, but I know a ton of people who did. And a lot of people credit with a lot of the really cool stuff out of there for some of the big books and stuff that came out. Cool person, cool game. All right, long flowing locks, stony eyes, martial robes, and a cool picture to go with it. We have a thing. Nobody's really done faction and group, but I think, well, okay, I take that back. Dave did, and so did Bill. Never mind.
I didn't give it a name, but like the skilled fighter who's working as part of an escort company is like.
Gotcha. And the Prosperous Dining Society, which means nothing and yet says so much.
It is a group that believes that peace will be brought to the land through good food.
I like how this both fits entirely within the setting and yet could also be dropped into a game based on the old Slayers. So, good job.
Yeah. Question.
Yes.
How do people feel about reincarnation?
That's the setting.
Ticklish?
Okay. Well, no, because there's a romantic entanglement for students in the Fantastic that involves reincarnation, which sounds really fun.
I'm down for it.
I absolutely think that works.
I am down for it. Okie dokie. Given the genre that we were dealing with, it's actually not accurate, but I just love the idea that I keep mousing over random cells and having the words anonymous Nyan Cat pop up under my mouse. Just randomly, like, ha ha! You've been ambushed.
I must be
Caught
anonymous
you.
Nyan Cat.
Yeah, I think you must be.
Because it's the one that doesn't show up for me.
Pretty sure I'm Axel.
Axel. That one sounds. That particular name always sounds like you're swallowing your tongue.
Well, you better learn it. Assuming your kids are still into Minecraft because they just got added.
Yeah, everybody in the house is very, very still into Minecraft, please. Kelly is currently raging about stuff in Minecraft right now on a Twitch stream, so.
Yeah, that's because it updated yesterday.
Yeah, I know. Oh, yeah, I know. Everybody got home from the vacation and had to immediately get their updates rolling. Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Traveling teacher, 5 deadly venoms, 14 blades. Why is that a different font size?
I reduced it at one point, but I don't need to, so I will bring it back up to the rest of these.
I did it. They're all 10.
Just
I
10.
moved it. I switched it back to 10.
Okay,
When you
thank
defend someone or something, roll, slip from bonds, and pass through locked doors and windows as if they were open. Extends to attack and defense. Your body moves elegantly so as not to wrinkle your outfit or spill your wine.
So,
this is just true for you? Wow, that's a move. Like, no, you can just...
Yep, that's just me.
What were you going to ask, Margie?
on the entanglements.
Mm-hmm. We wait for that. Yes, but keep going.
Okay. I just didn't know if we were restricted to one of the court date of the
No,
fence.
those are suggestions, but
Okay.
you're not stuck with any of them. I don't know. You don't have to have those.
Okay. I just there was one from Courtly that sounded like it would be good for my character. So
Yeah, I mean, depending on how we fill things in here. I mean, having court stuff happening, you guys make up the characters, and the world will move and shift to fit. That's just how it works. So there will be as much courtly stuff as you guys bring to it, as much fantastic stuff as the world seems to need to reflect. You hold their attention. You may lead them into or away from a nearby location. If they wish to extricate themselves, they must mark it. You're going to be a problem.
Yes.
That'll be fun. I like how yours are like, no, this is just on. This isn't a roll thing. It just happens.
Uh-huh.
Prove yourself when you battle someone above your scale. Oh, yeah. That Margie, I like yours is like, I'm going to tank God for a second while everybody escapes.
yeah, because I don't know any better.
Yeah.
that's the other thing I read in that is like,
Honestly, I could make even though there's no heist elements to it, I could make a decent. I mean, I know Mike didn't really care for this the book, but the Paladin caper in that series, I could make a decent argument for some of this working really, really well in there because there's definitely elements of the reflected culture in there, and that like not knowing any better, but still being able to punch God. Everybody else in the group realized that the character was probably somebody who could punch God, but not the character themselves. Actually, speaking of the Chinese broadsword, the sickle bladed thing, one of the fun things in the second, there's a character in there who like sort of has a signature weapon, but their signature weapon is whatever weapon in this particular book I stole from one of the main bad guys early on and just kept using. And the second book, the character steals the sword of the like a very storied sword of like the princess of a nearby kingdom. Basically, the princess, who's a wonderful swordsman, goes in for a noble duel, and the soldier that she's dueling with, that she's challenged or whatever, basically punches her in the nose and grabs the sword and leaves. And spends the rest of the book trying to figure out what the 9 rings on the backside of the broadsword are actually for.
right.
Because nobody knows. Like, there isn't really a good answer to any of that. Is that what they're for? Is that the distraction? The noise? All right, so people are filling in entanglements, and that's what we should do next. But we should also probably do it after we've actually introduced ourselves. So
I just want to note that everybody has come up with a different elemental focus to the extent that they have a focus.
I
No,
may have intentionally done that.
That's not true.
Bill and Mike are the same.
they have the same style.
I intentionally went for the same style as somebody else.
And since
Okay, okay, you're right, on combat. I was looking at the +2s, where people put +2s.
Oh, gotcha.
Since I put mine in last, I realized that we didn't have much wood, and since it didn't really matter to me,
What for sheep?
patience, growth, and curiosity fit
Certainly
my
seems to fit a student.
agenda. Yep.
Mhm.
So
I just thought it was that showed good
and,
spread.
and being able to like go in and try to fight God certainly goes with the wood aspects of overconfident.
And then of course I had to take
Curiosity.
and then I had to take a -1 on mental because obviously control calculation and reflection.
Yeah, no.
No, yeah.
A 0 on Earth for caution, focus, perseverance.
I picked mine based on what the bad traits were.
Nice.
What rates?
Yeah, the negative traits.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, I want to have a high rating in being overconfident.
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right. So, Dave, why don't you give us a quick rundown, just as you see it, not how my brain might process it.
I'm fiery perfection bow. I am a chef. A traveling teacher to the extent that we travel within the geographical bounds that we're in. My father was fire perfection Zhang, who was known for his spicy yet flavorful food, and who had this quest that he had to find this fabled celestial dragon pepper that is the ultimate heat, can actually cause one to breathe fire, things like that. The problem is that he was so good that he was essentially dragooned by, I haven't looked at the NPCs, whoever the head local honcho is to be his personal chef, which of course dutifully he had to do. So basically he put the onus on me to go and have this quest. So I can't afford to build up a successful restaurant because I'm busy out in the countryside trying to find this thing. I certainly can't. I'm going to have an entanglement about a romantic interest that I can't possibly go after because I only operate this little small place to the extent that I can in between these things I have to do for my filial duty. But because I've learned all of my father's tricks and skills in cooking, I get challenged. I get asked to teach. I get asked to cook a meal. Things like that. So that's where the traveling teacher thing comes
I like
in.
it. I like it. You're saying you need your assumption there is that some highfalutin person, someone of prestige and position, has imposed upon you to establish a shop in their locale.
I need a shop in order to kind of make a living and something like that. So I have that. The problem is, because I have this quest that's been placed upon me by my father, I can't build it up into the successful restaurant I'm sure that I could have.
Because you keep having to head out into the...
Because I keep got to go down to the hinterlands to find things, or go down to the local shop, and instead of buying all the supplies I need for that day's meals, I'm looking to see if anything new has come in that might possibly give me a clue to where this pepper is. So it's basically completely wiped out my ambitions and my personal romantic life.
I'm wondering if it's less a shop and more of a food truck.
Food truck.
In this case, a food cart.
Wander.
Well, I mean, I could see, because I could see it oh hey, it's him. Hey, here's a fire. Put your pot over it and see and cook something. And so he cooks some stuff right then and there, and people give him enough money so he's got a place to sleep that night.
Yeah.
Where he's
somewhere between Wolfgang Puck and like a traveling tinker.
Yeah.
Maybe as a thought. Putting it in the town works too. Yeah.
What is the funny anime about food where people come?
Oh God, yes,
there are many. But you're talking about you are talking about in restaurant in another world.
Yes, the one that's between dimensions.
Yes.
Is that the name of the anime, or is that just?
It's essentially the name of the anime, I believe.
Cool.
But there are a few that are like that.
I mean, funny anime about food is 50.
Well, and there is, I actually found, I'm going to put it in the Discord, as I was searching around for images, I ran across the God of Cookery,
which is awesome,
film.
I mean,
which is basically about a proud chef who becomes too proud and loses everything, and therefore has to humbly reapproach.
I have to say though, that
art.
picture of Hunk is priceless, though. So that's just.
It's called Salt Bay.
Yes.
This is important information.
He's sprinkling a little salt.
That's not what that means, Dad.
It's fine. It's fine. We don't. First of all, I can't know these things. But all right, let's talk about Panglan of the Snow River sect.
Yeah, I'm still working on the story and key motivation, so
Sure.
apologies.
That's fine. That's fine.
You know, need to come up with something to really tie into the primary agenda of express tension between duty and self.
Okay. Yes, as is the Loyals thing.
Yes. But what I'm kind of currently imagining is left maybe near here, maybe this province, to go off to the Snow River sect, but have since returned to fulfill a debt, and it's, I don't know, work in progress, sorry.
It's okay. Let's talk Mike. I have a good picture of the general idea. Let's talk Mike.
Yep. 5 Coin Zemin. Everybody knows 5 Coin Zemin. We're all pretty sure 5 Coin Zemin's rich. Comes from a
We're
wealthy
not.
family.
Comes from a wealthy
All
family.
you know for certain.
Which family?
Yeah, what?
I heard it was the Imperial family.
Yeah. Well, I'm not supposed to say. But anyway, the thing that you do know is you're guaranteed that you're going to get paid for one day. However, for right now, Zemin will give you 5 coins just to make sure that, it's like, this is what I can give you now, the rest will come later.
I like it.
Kind
I
of
will
bad.
Well, he
gladly
has
trade
lots
you
of
today
5
for a
coins
hamburger
in his.
today.
Kind of bad Serpentine River style. So good.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Sky Daughter Shu.
Yes. So basically, Shu was raised in court. She is the younger sister of Two-Handed Z, who is the martial trainer and best friend of the second son, I think,
Oh, okay.
is what you put in the NPCs.
Huigon, I believe, is the second son's name.
Maybe. So he has trained her, but he really doesn't take her seriously.
Gotcha.
So
Interesting.
more to come.
More to come. Love it. And the Gallant Saber Guardians. Damn. Silent Sun.
I was just passing by, but I am a escort service professional. When a company needs to move goods or magistrates need to escort a difficult prisoner to trial, they'll hire the Gallant Saber Guardians, of which I'm one, and I will ensure that the transportation goes smoothly. That's all I do. That's all I am. It's pleasure to meet you.
Very good. Okay. We're coming up on the witching hour, and there's still a bit to. Yeah, we got here fast. Well, I was gonna say I'm not exactly sure how that happened, but I have met me, so I actually have a few good guesses about it. Okay. So what I'm going to suggest is that we work out a bit of this, since we're kind of up against it. Working out like entanglements, and so I'm going to go back over here to the book to just talk about entanglements real quick because I think it's relevant and just kind of getting us our thing here. Done a bit of the entanglements, or the introductions rather. Each player must define 2 entanglements for their character. An entanglement is a relationship the character they're triangles, I think, is probably the important thing to remember here. Is a relationship the character has with one person which is complicated by another relationship with a second person. The player character would choose one romantic and one general entanglement. Each playbook has 3 suggestions for them. If none of them fit, the player can look at a longer list in the appendix. There's some in the spreadsheet as well. Make up their own. Players should feel free to modify terms. A parent could be any authority figure. A sibling could be a cousin, whatever. In an order set by the, and I'm not going to worry about the order necessarily, players one at a time will put forward one entanglement. And I do encourage us not to all dump a ton into the thread all at the same time, probably, so we can kind of sort that stuff out. In an order set up by the GM, players one at a time put forward one entanglement, fill in the blank spaces following the procedure below. Once everyone's done that, go back in the same order and put forward other entanglements. Maybe we go in the order of the way they are on the spread on the sheet. I don't really have a skin in the game as far as that opinion one way or the other. Each entanglement has spaces for 2 names. Each entanglement should include 1 fellow player and 1 NPC. Players should suggest which characters are assigned to the entanglement as they put it forward and ask players named if they agree or consent to the entanglement for their characters. Players should work together to revise an entanglement if any player is not comfortable, blah, blah, blah. Players receive an XP for facing and interacting with their entanglements at the end of a play session if it was like stressful enough to trigger the inner conflict move. And then once you've figured out your entanglements, you pick one of those 2 underlined names from the entanglement, pick one of them from each one, and give them a bond of 1 that then is where you start out with on your bonds initially, and sort of define a bit what that relationship is. It doesn't have to be positive, doesn't have to be anything. It can be negative, positive, whatever. You might hate them, blah, blah, blah. I will briefly touch on, obviously, introduce whatever NPCs you want to. I've got a pile. I'm going to very broadly and very quickly just kind of give you guys a quick sketch, and the notes in here are, I'm not going to put in more notes than this because I want to leave it loose enough. Okay, the head of this region is Aoshi, Lord Aoshi. He's the head guy. He's a widower, and he has 2 sons, Gunlan and Huigong. Gunlan's more of a party boy, kind of Prince Harry from Henry IV. People like him, not because he's necessarily going to be a good ruler, but because he's very charismatic. Okay, Huigong's more serious. He's more of the serious thinker, like his dad, but he's less of a leader. So the sons have sort of like, one's got the charisma and one got the contemplation. Lady Kailing is Ayoshi's sister-in-law, so the sister of his deceased wife who lives with them, so on and so forth. On the second row, you've got Feng Shiran is the lord of one of the outlying towns, Baosei. Ao Li is the like sort of loyal retainer of Lord Aoshi. The next two people are related to one another. Dan Tiao is sort of the party boy, who's the hanger-on party boy for Gunlong, and then his father, who's a textile merchant. The textile merchant story there is one of the things with this region is that they've got like a rare clothing dye, like a blue dye or something like that you can only get in this region, and Ayoshi's basically put this family in charge of managing that. You merchant, deal with the money side. I want my cut, but you deal with all the particulars because it's beneath me, kind of a thing. You've got beyond that, I think a couple other ones that sort of jump out at me is the Sister Jian, who's like a nun in the local temple, is young, energetic, does a ton of community work and helps out the poor and does all this stuff and is so on and so forth. Also extremely pretty, likely to be at the center of various love triangles, that kind of thing. We already talked about Tu-An Ji. Manjun's interesting because he's so old that he was actually the advisor to the current Lord's father. So he's like a generation older than the old guard in this area. I had to put in the Scowling Imperial Magistrate, of course. Have a random garrison commander, the current abbot of the Buddhist temple, and then you have down at the bottom, recently named Su Wen, who's like bride to be, and maybe somebody that you guys want to point at for this, and then her widow mother, who is a lady and she's the widow of a lord of like a nearby province or something, and looking to make a match with one of the 2 young sons and trying to figure out who. The reason I set all this up, and I have like a little sketch, I pulled up like an old like mind mapper type of thing to like sketch out some relationships between these folks, because I like the idea of, as you guys are picking out NPCs, obviously make up your own and I can work it all into this, but I've got some general ideas of how some of these people care about other people, so that if you have a relationship with Tu-An Ji, for example, to use Margie since she actually already used that, and you pull on that person in some way, it's going to pull on other characters as well. So I've kind of,
I have a specific example for that. I got I'm suggesting one entanglement here, which is I am wed to this NPC, this bride, but I know they actually pine for, and I'm going to nominate Shu to be the other side of that, if Margie's okay with that.
Oh, I think that's great.
Oh
Because
yeah.
the one that I was looking at taking for one of my romantic entanglements was, hang on, let me pull it up here.
You two have my blessing, I promise.
Was where is it?
On the sheet, I pine for blank,
Yeah.
but I destroyed them and their lover in a past life, who has also been reborn as.
Nice.
So
Who has also been reborn. Yeah, which is lovely. Sky Daughter Shu.
So we still need to come up with a name for the bride, but
I do have a name in there. In the NPCs thing, I have her in there as Su Wen. Suwen. Su Wen. And then her mother is Lady Su Ning.
okay. So I noticed that I said bride to be. I want to say again that the backstory idea for Silent Son was like the families just went ahead with the marriage. Nobody asked the kid.
of course.
Right. Now, so my question
bride
is, and maybe I'm misunderstanding, but is she still then officially wed, or did they treat your disappearance as like a death, and she's technically a very young widow?
So he didn't want to widow her. That's the thing.
Oh.
Because then she'd get remarried
Oh.
to some other guy, which is not her deal.
Right.
So technically, she's still considered married.
Okay.
But dishonored her by he dishonored himself by running off, and shamed her by doing this. So she's still technically married to this deadbeat, but she's now free to pursue her own, interests, whatever those may be, as far as he's concerned.
Well, and who knows what the mother's playing at if she's looking to remarry her.
So what the family would really like is a clean end to this story, which probably means finding Silent Son, exposing him as the guy who ran off and did this, and punishing him appropriately.
Yes. At which point in time they have the wedding, have the marriage annulled to get her properly remarried. Pay no attention to the bride to be thing. That's certainly her widow mother is probably now that her father has died and her only other child is like 5. She really wants some sort of marriage to help cement bonds and defenses and blah blah blah, and is looking to force something in here. Despite law, convention, and the protestations of her own daughter.
Right. So I retitled her as the Jilted Bride. And
love it. Yeah, no, it absolutely works. This is going to be a hot goddamn mess. I love it.
If we want to make it more complicated, I could also jump into that, whatever the hell is going on.
There could be that. I was trying
cluster?
to look I was looking at. Let me go back. God, I keep going to a different tab, like a different actual browser tab, instead of remembering that it's actually a tab in the spreadsheet. I need to hide some of these. Now that we're done
I've done that about 5 times myself.
I need to hide some of these tabs. Now that we're done with some of them. I fled from blank because of heartache, but blank, their lover has called me back to honor a debt. I think we can
change lover to mother.
We could absolutely do that. Ooh.
As part of the mother just wanting the whole thing to be settled and done.
We could absolutely do that. I'll also throw out Sister Jeanne, like the nun. She doesn't have a lover as such, but she does have a crush on one of the royal boys. So you as a loyal swordsman maybe have like a connection to, but that's 2 NPCs. We don't want that. Fiddlesticks. Mother works too. Oh boy, that
would still be 2 NPCs.
Yeah, right. You're right. Need to think on that. Need to ponder.
There's now a Wulin category on the forums, by the way.
Thank you. I think we've clearly demonstrated that there's a little bit to sort out here. And we can add NPCs, throw in some extra people, whatever. So if we don't have enough, we sort of have a dearth of female NPCs right now. So
we need more.
I can gender swap people though, so that's fine. I don't care. So if we need it'd be really helpful if so and so. So kind of look at it with that line too. If you're seeing an NPC, it's like it'd be really useful if whatever, anybody. If Dan Tiao was
Never mind, I got an even. Well, no, NPCs, damn it.
Yeah, I mean, throwing that out, it's worth noting that it doesn't have to be, opposite gender thing too. I will point out that I very specifically laid out for Dan Tiao, the NPC, that their pronouns are "if you insist." And even his father is a bit like, pronouns in this economy. So, or for that matter, one of the noble sons.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at, but that'd still be NPCs.
Yeah, I mean, okay, let's go back and look at it. Just for a second. Oh, God dang it. I keep flipping away from the dang tab. I had to get the NPCs so many times. I got to hide some stuff, but we'll get to there. I'm looking at the wording of your thing. I fled from blank because of heartache, but blank, their mother or lover has called me back to honor a debt. Okay, well, that's still NPCs.
Yeah, exactly.
Because again, I like the idea of it like, oh, it's I fled from Gunlong, but my best friend, the nun, called me back for blah blah blah. Yes.
I was gonna say, here's the thing.
Hmm?
James, pick out whoever for that first one. I will be the second person who called you back.
Perfect. And it doesn't matter who it is.
It doesn't matter who it is. I will make a connection with them.
Out fucking standing. That is amazing.
Amazing.
That is just perfect. And yeah, pick the NPC. Pick the noble son, whatever. Yes, flawless. Thank you, Mike, for stepping in there.
Yeah, as I say, it's like there's a simple solution to this. Somebody has to fill one of those two slots.
We need a player who will sleep with basically anybody. Wait a minute. What am I saying? We have that.
Oh, see, now I was just going to put you in one of my relationships.
That's the gorgeous thing. You can't.
I love my brother, but I fear his admiration for 5-coin Zemin is dangerous.
No, that's perfect. I need somebody.
Because you're gambling with him or something like that.
I need somebody to believe. I need somebody who believes I am doing evil, and somebody to be the friend that questions me now.
Oh, I'll definitely be you.
What's that?
I think you're corrupting my brother. I think you're evil.
Okay, cool. I got one to put in.
All right. So I don't want to go too far past here, but we're definitely getting. I feel like we've chipped away at
the
some
idea.
Yeah, we've gotten a bit of the log jam flowing here. I pined for Su Wen, but I destroyed them and their lover in a past life, who has also been reborn as.
I'm thinking Pangolin, or maybe somebody else. Somebody who hasn't been tagged yet.
I mean,
Excuse me?
Silent Sun would be interesting, just because they're actually married.
I could do that.
But then
I kind of want to tag out of that because that makes it a little too close with those.
Yeah, it is. You're right.
I think if you don't mind, James, do you mind being a former?
A reincarnated lover of the bride under duress.
Sure.
Okay.
It's reincarnated. I don't care. My ghost self got up to. Yeah, reincarnation. It is assumed. That one for you, Mike, is tricky. The blank will.
I have no strong opinions on that one, but I know Fiery Perfection Bow has somebody that they are, like
Pining,
engaged to, promised to, something like that. And I feel like that's my end there. What's that?
No, go ahead. I was listening.
Oh, no. Did you have a person in mind for that one?
I do not yet have a person in mind with that one.
Okay, because
it's also worth noting that the two sons could be like one of the sons could be daughters. Switch the genders on me, people. I don't care.
But yeah, I like I said, I kind of want like Fiery Perfection Bow to be in like one half of that.
Yeah, for whatever reason. Well, and Dave's character doesn't have a lot of stuff he's losing to just yet with the other entanglements.
Yeah, I want to pull him in on this one.
Yeah.
Cast the web wide.
Well, in that case, I think the second half of the romantic entanglement there.
What was yours, Dave? What were the blanks? Or like,
well,
the thing?
I love blank, but and then the standard is sibling, but it could be something else. Blank considers me beneath them. So
they're good. They're good friends, Zemin.
Yeah, it could be good friend, could be parent, could be.
Well, I was gonna say good.
Well,
friend.
no, but this actually kind of this reflects the other side of the one that Mike's just put forward. So we just need to come up with who the blank is.
Yeah. And again, I'm not. Hey, Dave, is your dad still alive? You put him
Yeah.
in the NPC. Oh, okay. I misunderstood that. So your dad's running like a proper. He's like the official.
He is the court chef because his lord asked him to do this, and he said, "This means I have to leave my quest behind." But that's okay. I've got a son who will take care of it for me.
I think that's beautiful. I love that. Thank you. I think he might be worthwhile to have as the NPC in your general entanglement, like something with court intrigue, and you might want to look at the courtly ones and see if
No, I
there's
was kind of looking to see what might fit in there. I haven't gotten that pinned down yet.
right.
Mom, I'm fixing the mistake I made. Don't worry.
You made a mistake. You can't.
I was trying to copy
muted.
something and I accidentally messed up.
Deleted her character.
I'm working on it.
People know
Before
how
you
to
start-
people piece. If you select the cell and then go to the very top and paste your stuff into that blank editing bar, it's going to be a lot easier to manage.
Yeah.
I will note, I think the relationship under the bonds thing is like, it's meant to say, like, well, Margie's a pretty good example, like, or not Margie, Mike's got this, like, the bond is with two-handed Z, the relationship is drinking buddies. So you pick one of the bond people from Entanglement 1 and one of the bond people from Entanglement, you put their name in, and then their relationship is like afterwards, if that, I think
Right.
the way Mike's doing it makes sense for the way the sheet was intended to be laid out.
That's how I understood it from the book.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong. Yeah, and since none of the NPCs from there made much sense, Dave, I randomly rolled the name Lee. So
Ling?
Lee.
Lee.
Or,
Oh, Lee. We just need to write up Lee
mhm.
and who she is.
Indeed.
I leave that up to anybody else. I came up with the name. I've done my part. I mean, I do have the
And if you want to just throw one out there, if you want to simplify things, you could make Lay that one I threw in there as Briar, because it's not a very great name. I was just trying to think of some sort of, and that's like a servant slash confidant slash companion of one of the two noble sons, and just kind of, switch that around.
Yeah, but the only problem there is why would I be considered not good enough for her if she's
that's a good point.
a commoner?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm unreasonable.
No, he's got a thing.
My thing talks about
It considers me beneath them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not about nobility, Dave, or common blood.
okay.
You're just not good enough for her.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I love the idea that you're the person that sleeps with everybody, but there's this one person that you idolize to the point with, like, well, no, I've never slept with him. Come on, I'm scum. She's amazing. Well, you're not good enough for her either.
Okay.
Who is?
I've changed Briar to Lee.
Thank you.
There
I,
we go.
I'm just going to throw this out as a random thought. For Panglan, blank. My rival has sworn to kill me, but I have promised so and so not to harm them.
I figured the promised whoever could be one of the PCs.
Yeah. The first one that jumped into my head was Two-Handed G and Shu, because Two-Handed G is her older brother, and Two-Handed G is like a duelist fighting person.
Yeah, it makes perfect rival. Also,
Okay.
I have connections with them, and that means that we kind of have like an interesting web around this person.
Yeah, there's a couple people. I feel like there's a lot of NPCs that are just going to kind of fade into the background because they'll be the ones that are not central, obviously. And they're not central to anything that's going on in the background background happenings, and also not ones that you guys are particularly worried about. But they're kind of there. It's like, we need to talk to a monk. Conveniently, we have an abbot. We need to talk to the nearest.
Except for the royalty, as it were.
Yeah,
Those
the
are gonna
royalty
be
are going to be
important matter.
important because of stuff that's happening. Like, the imperial magistrate is always there to be a pain in the ass foil. We need an abbot. We need a religious advisor dude, or a drunken religious person, or whatever. What slot does he need to fill? We have a wholesome religious person. We have, they're kind of there, but I like that there's like this sort of, focusing on a good solid handful of NPCs, because like Mike, I'm not going to remember everybody all the time. So,
No, I have enough spoons for 7 people.
yep.
Past that,
Yep. All right. We've gone on well past, so thank you for that, and we'll keep hammering out the ones. Any suggestions, throw them out there. This is the general thing I'm thinking about, blah, blah, blah. Who wants to jump in here? What does make sense? I'm stuck on an NPC. Any of that kind of stuff?
yeah, I think we're doing pretty good on that right now because
I
we
think
only
so
have
too.
like 2 empty spots, and it's Silent Sun and Bow's general entanglement.
And then after, go ahead.
And if nobody signs up for this general entanglement, I'll sign up for another one if people want to pitch it.
Yeah. We should definitely make sure that people aren't too thinly spread.
I was gonna say, if you want to go there, or if you're okay with it, 5 Koizamen will consort with any enemy clan.
They'll consort with anything on 2 legs.
That's not true. Some of them have 1.
Yeah.
It's funny. All right, I'm hiding a few of these sheets because I just don't need.
He resents your bias.
But yeah, if there's a particular enemy that you wish, feel free to put them in.
Let's take a look at our NPCs here.
I'm gonna leave the playbooks up, but I'm gonna move it way down here.
There's
Alright.
Character creation seems like another one where it's like, that can go for now.
Yeah, I think so too. That gets
Although
us...
I went back to it and discovered that's where a lot of the things that I was looking for in other tabs was. Like, what's that 5th attribute for each of the player types? And
Right.
Hey, Zeman, do you want to be consorting with Dan?
With whom?
Dantian?
Dan, yeah.
Yes.
They have the if you exist pronouns.
I'm sorry, what'd you say, Bill?
Second row, 3rd column.
Mm-hmm.
The party boy hanger on.
The hanging on party boy.
Yes, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, stop consorting with them.
All right.
Yeah, you're gonna need a relationship map just for your dude. Like the web around you alone is gonna be.
No, it's
robust.
very easy.
It branches out in all directions.
I'm actually going to post either a mermaid or a graph viz graph of the relationships, including LPCs and NPCs and entanglements,
Yeah.
sometime soon. So look out for that.
All right.
Hooray.
I might.
Yeah, I just see him in the middle of an STD tracking web.
Yeah. Okay.
This is going to be contact tracing. That's your full-time job now.
We'll probably have some sort of like courtly, some sort of seasonal holiday. This strikes me as it's a pretty agrarian area. Like there's farmers, there's a temple, there's,
Hey, Doyce,
yeah,
I'm going to throw you
Summer
something.
equinox.
sure.
Just because this was, it was, Tanchu, the other game,
Okay.
one of, somebody threw together like a really good, like, write-up of one of their games that they played in for that.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as you said, like, seasonal holiday, I was like, here's some inspiration for that.
Cool. Yeah, I'm
So-
looking for something that's celebrated. I'll figure it out. I want something celebrated, but also it's like on the down low, the peasants are also like appeasing the goat with the 1,000 young out in the forest. You know, they're ostensibly they're all Buddhists, except for the things where they aren't, because it's still important for them to still make sure that the spirits don't get angry.
Well, but we are towards the summer solstice, which
Yeah.
everybody always celebrates in various fertile ways.
For sure. Yeah, something like that where we can get everybody up around like the capital town, and because we've got enough people here that are theoretically connected to various people that they would be around or sort of in the area, all that kind of stuff. So we'll figure some shenanigans.
Question,
Yes, sir.
because I don't know as much about Buddhism. Do Buddhists really care that much about kind of holding on to old traditions like Christians do? I say, having studied the conversion
yeah.
of Christianity in Scandinavia and shit.
You mean do they frown upon it, or is it? I mean, because basically, is Buddhism common?
Is it
Yeah.
as like
Totally.
strictly conversionist as Christianity is?
No,
No,
well,
but that would get into the Confucianism side of things, where there's very strict rules as
well,
opposed to
but
Buddhism.
but within Buddhism, if you start in India and work your way east,
Eastward.
you know, every new culture that it encounters, it evolves, incorporating in, various local religious, deities become guardians,
Sure.
etc. And so I mean, it's in some ways very flexible, but it's also, I mean, if you look at Christianity, we just pretend like we didn't incorporate in all of that other stuff. I mean, why do
Sure.
we have Christmas? Why do
Well,
we have Easter?
I'm not necessarily
Those
They're
saying
are
different.
I'm not necessarily saying that the farmer folk in the area are going on the down low because they're going to be burned at the stake if anybody discovers that they're doing this thing. But it's generally like frowned upon.
well.
50% of
I think it
Icelanders
could
think
be
that
like, good.
50% of Icelanders, polled today, still think that fairies exist in Iceland.
That is a Christianity thing, though, is what I'm
Yeah,
trying
I
to
know,
get
but
a
what I'm
separation
saying
here.
is, culturally speaking, yeah, when they're polled anonymously, they say that, but you still get people who are like, you don't necessarily want to be you don't necessarily want to be one of the people who says, yeah, absolutely, fairies for sure, yeah, because of the looks,
You don't want to admit to being a flat earther, but secretly you kind of are.
Oh, there's a whole bunch of survey methodology you're touching on in there. I would say that what I would see this more as is that, it's called the Moon Festival, and the way it is celebrated in court, there's moon cakes and there's this and there's that, and the way that is celebrated more out in the country, there's still moon cakes, but the dancing is a little bit more raucous, and there's a few old customs, sprinkled in,
yeah.
And that's
a
an
guy talks
autumn.
fire or something like that.
I think,
That's an autumn thing, not a summer.
yeah,
You
I'm
know what
not
I
thinking
mean,
of a
though.
seasonal thing.
No, I know.
I'm not thinking of a seasonal thing. I'm thinking of to get kind of a loop back a little bit into some of the supernatural stuff. Like my dad didn't. I didn't win the lottery. My dad didn't win, but my great grandfather won like the $5 million lottery. Like the
The
anniversary
Irish
of
sweepstakes.
no, like the anniversary. This is like the holiday is like the anniversary of when the Lord who originally sort of was given this prefecture defeated the demon wolf. I'm gonna get something better together, but defeated the demon wolf and thus stabilized and gentrified the prefecture. And we celebrate this on the night that the wolf was first, when this demon wolf was driven out of the land, and you've secretly got, the peasants still leaving lamb chops out in the forest in specific areas or something like that because you don't want the wolf coming back, and they all kind of still think that they will if they're not lamb chop. Whatever. I'll figure it out. Something like that. That obviously, if you're a noble who's descended from this dude, you're obviously celebrating the night, and if you're, a peasant, you're, going, maybe this is the night when we stay in because we don't want to make him. We don't want to, tempt. But tomorrow morning we're gonna party. Whatever. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'll write something up quick. Get out to everybody. It doesn't. Well, maybe it will matter. Who knows? Who knows? Snakes. Maybe snakes.
So do I.
Oh, we have styles that are based on snakes, don't we? We do.
Yeah.
Maybe snakes. Maybe I'll do evil snakes to go with the good snakes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of bad at snaking, but
That's okay. Sweeping
anyway,
light. Excellent. Yes, sir. You were saying.
I sent you over the recap that I was talking about, and the reason this one sticks with me is because that person then went on to hire the person who did the artwork for those books to commission like artwork of one of the scenes from that game.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it was
yes.
quite fun.
Oh, that's cool. Look at all that.
Yeah, so.
Oh, I know her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I read this one, but I know her.
Well, it's from a while ago. This is like 2014,
Yeah.
7 years ago. So, but yeah, I definitely recommend it because it gives like a really cool like idea for a festival.
Yeah.
Or you can just make shit.
That's some fun.
Or you can.
That's a fun
Hmm?
picture too that she did or got
Oh yeah.
commissioned.
All right, we can just make up shit on the fly, as we proved in Starforged.
Insert every other game since. Yeah.
Yeah, we can just make shit up. Oh no, I had no idea where we were going moment to moment with that game.
All right, I'm gonna wrap up. I owe people stuff, but yeah, I think we're well on the way, and we will figure out what happens next next time. That tends to be how it happens.
Yep.
Cool.
We're only missing one entanglement, Dave.
Yeah, I am looking through the entanglements to see if something wows me, and I have a post already halfway written. So
Okay.
Nice.
Good.
to solicit help.